when we have a solar eclipse of the sun, whatever is covering the sun at the time certainly is not a three-dimensional object. It's a two-dimensional object.
And your evidence for this is?
If that. We're not really sure what it is. It could be eclipsing itself, a lot of people say. And
oh my god, how the fuck could the sun eclipse itself in a... what? What? And, like, why does he think a 3D object couldn't eclipse the sun? Like, I didn't just mishear that, right?
all I know is when we have a solar eclipse of the sun, whatever is covering the sun at the time certainly is not a three-dimensional object. It's a two-dimensional object.
I did hear his ass right. How's that make sense? If you go and look at the shadow from a tree, like say like a tree stump, it could be as tall as you want, but just say like that it's a tree that's being cut down and the trees, or like a telephone post or something along these lines where it's just a post in the ground. When you look at this post, dimensionally, three-dimensionally, the way that we see it, that object is a cylinder. But when it leaves a shadow on the ground, it looks like it's just a rectangle. You can't tell that it's curved on the sides. You can't tell if there's anything past it or beyond it, because the shadow that is cast is a straight extension of that object until it hits another object. And since our eyes do not perceive the gases that make up the air we breathe, that shadow is passing through and that the light is passing through, we don't see it as a solid wall. We just see it as a two-dimensional object lying across the ground, the wall, the car, the bush, the grass, whatever surface it is that it finally makes contact with, that we do physically see and perceive with our eyes. And that's where we see it. We don't see the gases in between. You imbecile. How the hell do you think this works? If you look at the shadow cast by a pyramid, it doesn't look like a pyramid. It looks like a fucking triangle. Like, what is he trying to say? Like, what?
And your evidence for this is?
That's all an eclipse is. And the reason that's important is because it's all the eclipse is. The eclipse is like... a solar eclipse is just the moon making... I forget which one is the moon passing between the Earth and the sun, and which one is the Earth passing between the moon and the sun. I forget. But the fact is, it's the same thing. You have one object, be it the moon or the Earth, that is casting a shadow across the vision we have of the sun or the moon, depending on lunar or solar eclipse, right? So we simply see this take place and happen from our perspective in a way that is two-dimensional, the same way that a shadow being cast across the ground is two-dimensional, because all a shadow is something blocking the passage of light until it hits an object. And that's how we perceive eclipses. When the moon passes in front of the sun, we are directly in the shade cast by the moon over the Earth as it crosses the sun. When it's the moon vanishing from the sky temporarily, that is the Earth blocking out the moon because it's stopping the sun and the light that the sun casts on it from reaching the moon. Which is why you have the phases of the moon. My God. Ooh, we might have an aneurysm today, because I think this guy's just going to have a lot of word soup like this and not a point.
We're not really sure what it is.
I think you're not sure what it is.
A lot of people say, and I'm probably going to lean toward that.
Do you understand what you just...
He's going to lean into the fucking thought that the sun eclipses itself. Explain your thought process, genius.
Said there.
It could be eclipsing itself.